Now on. My audio is now on. We're going to turn off the start screen and painstakingly move your image down to the bottom right corner. This is like surgery here. What? Move you down. And so what we're seeing here is so what we can do is when you're showing your stuff, we can do something like this. We'll just do a fit to screen. Boom.
Yeah,
And that way you can show all your awesome stuff. And then
sounds good.
then we can squeeze you back down to size. Okay. So let's kick this off. Welcome to the official Blender Noobs stream, where this noob is learning 3D modeling and using Blender. Truth be known, I do know how to 3D model in Maya with my buddy Mike. This is a off the cuff show, so if you're stopping by, welcome. Set your expectations appropriately. My gut tells me that as this continues, we will get it's gonna get intense. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself? I think we're on a lag here.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. Yeah, so my name is Michael Reese. I've been 3D modeling for quite a long time. I am also a Blender noob, but my original software of choice was a 3D Studio Max and V-Ray, and just decided to give Blender a shot. And so far, I've been liking it a lot, and it's been fun learning Blender with my good friend Gabe. Um, So as of right now, I work for a company called Vector Solutions, and we're a software company, but we have a huge content division, and I work as a manager of the 3D content team. So that's my current role. That's where my background lies is in doing 3D modeling and animation and rendering for uh, for learning that and that kind of stuff. So, and then on the side, I'm doing personal projects and all that kind of stuff just to continue to further my education. And in this case, it's learning Blender.
Blender. So does Blender have any benefit employment wise for you? Is that something that you would use in your full time job?
Um, Probably not with our current setup because we've been using 3D Studio Max for over a decade with our current workflow. So switching would be a challenge, but like anything freelance or that kind of stuff, it would be, learning Blender is like it's free, obviously, and it does a lot of the same stuff that we can do in 3D Studio Max. um, but in terms of the actual pipeline, uh, we've kind of catered it to our needs over the past decade. So it would be a hard switch, but potentially we could do that eventually. And I think I think as I learn Blender more, that will become more apparent whether we could make that switch in the future.
So just out of curiosity, then, if you made that switch in the future, what kind of would that have a cost benefit to your production pipeline? Would that?
Well, for sure, because 3D Studio Max and V-Ray cost us, thousands of dollars every year to subscribe to it. So right off the bat, that would um, that would be really good. One of the things that we definitely need to understand and figure out is how, because we use a dedicated render farm, and so trying to figure out what the pipeline would be to get it rendered with the quality that we're currently used to, with a render farm that spits it out, and with the naming conventions because we've built in some personalized tools to make that process very easy. So there had definitely have to be some upfront costs and just ensuring that we could still have that pipeline. But then if that was to be figured out, then the cost savings would be quick.
Huh. So it sounds like maybe it would cost it would cost money to make that transition. It may not. Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah, that may or may not pan out, but that's why I'm kind of learning it now, kind of off time.
No, that's cool, and that's part of the reason I'm learning. Honestly, is just for fun because it's free, and I love anything free. I love free like software options. But there is always that transition to it, which is painful. And I think that 3D Studio Max and even Maya have made efforts to make their software more accessible to those who don't have the money for it. And so I think they're thinking ahead probably because software like Blender and GIMP has gotten a little bit more mainstream and more powerful, that it probably scares them a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about Blender is that it's giving, especially from 2.8 and above, is the amount of money that's going into it, and the development has definitely increased, and so the competition for for being more affordable, plus having one of the biggest critiques of Autodesk has been the level of innovation over time, whereas Blender, we're at 2.91 already from 2.8, and the amount of quality that has already gone up from those two versions is pretty amazing. And so it's definitely putting the heat to Autodesk to meet the needs that Blender is currently doing in terms of cost and then upgradability, or the amount of upgrades per year.
So how does Blender, and this is me like totally, this is the things I just normally never think about. Is Blender have like a corporate office? Do they have an entity? Do they make money? Like, how do they organize all the engineers who are making additions to it?
Blender has an office. I forget where it's at, but they actually have a sponsorship program that, so for example, they've had a, a few recent humongous sponsors from like Epic Games and from the creators of Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft, to they've been giving them money, and they're a part of like the the development um, funds, so that they can hire more developers, spend more time making the tools to build better production workflows for the game environment and for the movie environment. So they get donations from the individuals, but they also offer um, like a monthly subscription service that you can get some cloud services with, and then they obviously have some corporate sponsors to get some bigger funds behind making Blender a tool that can be used for the game or film industry.
That's awesome. This is stuff I did not know, and I should look into more. So as we've begun talking today, I'm thinking this episode is a little bit more chatty than usual. So for anyone watching, the agenda today is to recap what I learned in the first episode, which admittedly has been a few weeks now. And I haven't even opened it. So Mike and I he went over the basic tools, how to duplicate, how to make edges, how to use a lot of the tools. So if you're wanting to see that kind of stuff from the beginner level, check out episode 1, which should be on the Checkpoint Professor YouTube channel soon. But that kind of goes into this context. When I teach at the University of Utah, I have students all the time, like the stuff we're teaching in classrooms, the stuff we're going over. To be honest, you can find on YouTube, you can find in books. I've got a light doing something weird. You can find it anywhere. But I think the whole point of formal education, or taking a class, or joining a group, is to keep you on task, honestly, because it's not the things you learn, it's the things you do that really matters. So, for example, like I learned all this stuff from Mike 3 weeks ago. I didn't put any of it into practice, and now to get back to the step that we were when we left that, I need to review and practice that, right? And so this is part of the reason why we're gonna do this weekly episodic show, Blender for Noobs, because it'll keep me on task. Because frankly, I'm busy. I've got classes to prep for. I've got family. It's the pandemic, so it's all at home, and I'm trying to juggle that from home. So I got my buddy Mike here to help me, and he's kind of in the same mindset. He's got a full time job. He's doing all that. So I just thought I would do that little bit of housekeeping for anyone watching or listening to this later on, of why we're doing the show and how it will run going forward. Does that sound about right, Mike, or do you have any ideas on that?
Oh, that sounds great.
Awesome. So, uh, so wow, what is that? Something's sorry. I apologize. My lighting is off. My green screen is weird. I've got something shining in front of the. Oh, it's a piece of paper up here by my camera. That is it. I'm like trying to figure out on the screen what is that, and I finally figured it out. Okay, here we go. So let's kick it off. So I honestly feel like if I jump into Blender right now, it's going to be a revamp of everything we went over, and I just need to sit down and do that. But Mike has been working on some projects that he wanted to show off today. So why don't we do that? How does that sound?
Yeah, so at the end of the last session, you gave yourself the homework assignment of building a fire hydrant,
Yep.
because that's something that you give to your students. And so we came to the conclusion that maybe we should just build that stuff together, kind of offline, and then we can let me share my screen. Um, so I've been. So let me, can you see my screen, Gabe?
I can, yeah. Do we can see that bolt?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a bolt, just to give you guys some idea. So I use PureRef um, as my reference of choice, which is a little free piece of software. Again, it's free. You can donate if you want to, but it's a really great handy software.
And
So I
it's
just put
pure
so this
ref.
is a yeah, PureRef. You can dump in tons of files, and you can arrange them, you can crop them, and it's like one nice area for reference. So this is a fire hydrant that's near my house, and then here's some additional ones I found online just to give an idea about what I wanted to do. So I've been actually modeling this yellow one, and so I've been doing a high poly model, learning a lot of stuff. So I think today we'll go over some of the things that I've built. I have not built, like the text and stuff. I'll probably do that within Blender, and then within ZBrush. Um, I was going to bring this into ZBrush once I'm done. Maybe do some dings and some texturing, some texture surfacing, and then maybe eventually what we can do is bring it into Substance Painter and kind of build a whole game asset, like
Love it.
so this is this is one of the bolts. I just started modeling. Let me get a better angle. This bolt right here has it's six sided, but it also has the circle in the middle. So there's a tool that I can show you that kind of I've been using all around. The loop tools. Um, but for now, let's just. I think I actually need to fix this up a little bit, but I can do that later.
Nice. Topology looks nice. Nice. Here's
Yeah.
the
So
full
here's the full
Monty.
one. Um, so I think one of the things that we can go over today is potentially look at some of these sections, and I can go over, like how I built them, and then some tools. So one of the hard ones would be, like this the actual body. And you can see right here that I actually have a subdivision modifier. So one of the things that we can go over is maybe some modifiers. So this one is the standard, sub D modifier that has, two subdivisions. But this right here, I can just this is the topology for the high poly of this, and you can see that it's fully integrated. So I definitely used a pretty cool modifier to get this correct. It's called the shrink wrap modifier. I can kind
Nice.
of show you how I did that. Um, did a lot of beveling. I used the loop tools to do stuff like this, where you have, please, no, where you have, you know, this is a 5-sided cylinder that I started with, but then I converted it into a circle to get this little bolt situation. So that was good. And I still need to do some stuff on this. Let's see what else I got here. This is just another little inset situation. Pretty basic stuff there. But yeah, so I've been, and then I actually just finished this morning. This one was uh, also quite difficult. Well, I mean, it was difficult because it has some round stuff within some more round things. So, um, again, this was like a combination of loop tools as well as mirroring, um, but it looked pretty clean. And then when we go into the low poly, I can build it a lot more simply and then just bake on the maps there, bake on the details, I should say.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that is where I'm currently at with the fire hydrant. It's been pretty fun. Still want to have a few things. Gonna build this little hang deal here. I got to put the bolts here. I'm gonna kind of inset this detail within Blender, the text, like I mentioned, and then I think at that point I'll probably um, build this within ZBrush, but just to get the high poly completely done, which has been cool. And then we can, do a low poly in Blender, and then get over to Substance Painter for some additional grunge and fun stuff.
The magic painting. Awesome. Very cool. All right. So we should. So what? Let's go over one of the techniques that you used to make this.
Yeah. So I think a difficult thing to do typically, or at least to get right, is doing a cylinder inset within another cylinder. So let's kind of go over how I ended up doing that. So I'm going to hide all this. I'll make a new collection. Just call it test collection. Um, let's go to Shift S. I'm going to move the 3D cursor to World Origin. And then what we're going to do is get a mesh in here. We'll get a cylinder with 32 sides. This will be the main body cylinder. So, okay, we got our cylinder. A little bit bigger, a little bit taller. Let's show the wireframe. Okay, so we have a 32-sided cylinder. And what we can do is insert a cylinder into the front here, and then we will then begin to integrate it. So let's do that. All right, so the first thing what we'll do is we'll go to, so we have a cylinder that's 32 sides, and then we're going to do a circle.
So is that? So sorry to interrupt. So the cylinder.
Sure.
This is going to be the base for the center of the hydrant, right?
Yeah, this is the body, and then we're going to build that 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 first big the actual big spout, um, the front
Okay.
cylinder face.
And so this is me just speaking from my comfort zone, but usually in Maya I have like a front and a side plane if I have it, so that I can kind of adjust the object sizes to the image. Are you just eyeballing it right now based off of your reference
Oh,
images?
yeah, so what I did originally is I built a basic mesh just for sizing, and then I started building, and then I kind of started over again with that as like my blueprint just to get that going.
So you
So
blocked out the whole
yeah,
thing just in rudimentary shapes.
I just blocked it out and made sure that it looked right. And in this case, we're just going to eyeball it
All right.
just to make it easy. But
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got the cylinder that's 32, and then we're actually going to do a circle, which is this guy right here. Looks like we have to, let's delete it. Let's try that again. So circle, and we're going to do 24 sides on that. This is, and I know these numbers because I've already did some experimentation with how it's actually going to be fitting in. So if I were to make a 24 sided, I'd probably go with a 12 sided circle. But in any case, one cool thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to the side view or the front view, and that's just done by holding Alt and then the middle click to get to the front view. We're going to move up this circle, and then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees so that we can see it. So we're going to do rotate X 90. I'm using the numpad for that. Then we're going to scale it down. I'm going to do Shift Z, which I use all the time. Scale it down. And let's just say that we're good there. And I'm going to move it to the front. Again, I'm using G, and then I'm just choosing my axis and getting that. All right, so we have that circle there. Cool. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this object, and I'm going to add in some loop cuts that's going to act as the square that this is going to be inset into. The tab gets you into the to the edit mode. Control R, and then I'm going to left click, and then right click to accept, and then I'm going to do Control B, bevel, and that's going to get me that even span that I'm looking for. And I just need the 2, so I'm going to go with segments 2, and we're good. And actually, I could even just move it up by holding G, middle mouse clicking the axis I want, and then just free moving it. Okay. So far, are you with me?
I think so. I think so. So you're using
Okay.
the circle as a guide.
Yeah. Well, as a guide, and then I'm going to use it to actually do some modeling.
Okay.
So far it's a guide, but the circle is now going to become a mesh. So I'm going to hit Tab again to get out of it. Go back to the circle, and I'm going to do an inset, or actually an extrude on the circle. So I'm going to hit E. Actually, can I actually Tab? Sorry, Tab. I'm going to hit 2 to get to my edges, and I think I can either hit I. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm going to Control Z that. I'm going to do E, and you can see I am doing an extrude. Then I'm going to right click and hit S for scale so that I can get that. Okay. Does that make sense, Gabe?
Yep. So you're extruding the circle.
Yep. So now what we need to do is we need to wrap this circle right onto this cylinder so that it wraps perfectly around it. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use a modifier. The modifiers are found in this the wrench here. And before I do that, I'm actually going to uh, uh, delete all my transforms. I'm going to collapse it so that there's no wonkiness. I'm going to do Control A, and some
Excuse
timing
me.
that you can get through the add-ons just within Blender. I'm going to go Apply All, but essentially I'm doing a scale and a rotation. Actually, right there's the rotation scale transform. I'm just going to go to Apply All. Okay. Now the modifiers, you've not seen this, um, but the modifiers have 4 categories. One's modify, which just modifies the mesh. Generate is called that because it generates more geometry. And then deform, which deforms the mesh. And then physics like soft bodies and fluids and cloth. So we're actually going to deform, and we're going to do shrink wrap.
All right.
So we are going to shrink wrap on a surface, and the target is going to be that right there. and then it's a little bit wonky, and so we actually need to go to project. So the wrap method is currently nearest surface point, so it's projecting onto the nearest surface point that it can find. But what we really want is to keep the volume. Um, so we're going to go to project, and you can see that it just projects the that mesh onto this other mesh. So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to apply this modifier. So all you have to do is go to, so there's a couple of buttons up here, and what these mean is that how do you want to see the modifier? Do you want to see it when it's during edit mode? So yes. So like if you hit tab, currently you will still see the modifier. What we'll see how it shows what it was before, and then it's showing the like end result of the modifier within edit mode, and that's what that button means. So like if you unclick it, then it won't show both.
Hmm.
And one is on the cage, and then one is real time. So it's just showing you how that wants to be how you want to see it. But we actually just need to apply it. So we go to this little caret, and we're going to do apply. So now it's on the mesh. So now we're going to go back to the main cylinder, and we're going to go into edit mode, and then we're going to hit 3 for the faces, and we're just going to delete the faces that this is going to, you know, that this is going to be used. So a cool thing that I love in Blender actually is holding control, going from this face to this face. We're going to hold control, and it's going to get all of them. And then we're going to delete the faces. Okay. So the next thing is we're actually going to need to put another edge loop right here because we're going to do some filling ins. That. Actually, I think we may need to do 2, but we'll do that now. So that's right in the middle. That's great. And then actually, I think we may need to do a couple of these. There.
Play Uno.
There. Actually, we're going to need to do 1.
Okay, after I'm done with this stream.
We're going to need to do 2. All right, let's see where that gets us. 1. Yep, I think. Okay. I think we now have the appropriate amount of edge loops so that we can then just bridge these areas together.
All right, I'm excited.
Cool. So the next thing we need to do is we need to join these 2 objects. So you can do one, shift click the other, and then just do Control J, and that joins them. So now what we can do is go into edit mode, hit 2, and we can do one edge, do the other, and just hit F to fill it. Do a bridge.
Okay, so this is like the append to poly tool.
Yeah, so actually what we'll do is we're going to work on this one side right here, and then we'll use a modifier to mirror it over. So that'll be our second modifier of the day.
So it seems like I wonder if the like the title of this episode would be modifiers. Like, is that?
Yeah.
That might be
that would be a good one because that's what we're doing a lot of right here.
Introduction to modifiers. This is great. So the projection tool, something that now I'm curious how I would do the similar approach in Maya, because how I would usually do this is actually do something similar, except for I would stick another cylinder in to the main cylinder and maybe use a Boolean to kind of delete the other one and cut that hole, and then I can just extrude the thing straight out.
That can be done. Oops. That can also be done within
Blender.
Yep, that's a second method, and I haven't gotten too deep into the Booleans, but I know that they're really powerful in Blender. And I think one of the things that we could do
And I mean, that's one of the fun things, and one of the things I tell my students all the time is there's no single way to do any of this, and the end results, no matter which is, as long as you're experienced with the software and you know how polygons are going to react, the end results are almost always indistinguishable. But the approach that you used could be so varied and so different.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I could have done next time, but this is just a demo, is this could have been closer. But we can see how that goes.
But it works.
Okay, so we have half, and what I want to do is there is two things. So there's the 3D cursor, and then there's this little dot, and that's the origin. So um, we are going to mirror across the origin. So I'm going to hit 3 to go into face mode, Shift Z, because when you're in when you're in the transparency mode, you'll be able to get things that are behind. Oops, that was dissolve, delete faces. Okay. Oh, and then hit K. There we go. K is your knife tool.
Are the caps separate objects?
No, I needed an extra face
Oh, I see.
because I wanted to get
You're tying those together.
half. Yeah. Okay. So now what we can do is mirror it across. So again, a modifier, it's generating geometry, and we want to mirror it. And it like already got the right axis. It's merged the verts. And what's really cool actually about Blender 2 is that you can actually mirror across a separate target object, which is something that I've used before. So where if a certain object is already in like the world origin, and but the object that you currently have has its own origin, you can say to target a different object that then it will mirror across, so you don't have to change the object's origin to the world or to something else, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
All right, so now we have. Oops, I always do that. So what I accidentally did was so if you're not in edit mode, which is what this is, and you hit 1, 2, or 3, it actually will go to the collection. So like this current collection, so 1 is oh uh, so so the 1 I think is this fire hydrant collection. I don't know, but it went to something else. Okay, so now we have cut in a perfect circle right into another cylinder. And what we can do at this point, what I have done is I can spread these around if I want to. Oh, see, it's actually not connected. So let's like this. We're gonna do oh. Let's apply. Oh, I did it again. I always do that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just make sure that we have no overlapping, or that that everything is okay. Now we're at one object. Perfect. I'm going to hit 2. We could move this around if we wanted to now. Again, to get a edge loop, it's get the first edge, and then you can alt click, and then I'm going to hit GG to move across the normals, and you can see that you can move across the
Oh,
normals.
that's cool. So what? Sorry, what tool
Or
is this again?
oh, okay. So to get the edge loop, it's one edge, and then you alt click the next edge, and that will get the entire loop.
And then how do you keep it on the
So
normals?
right, so G is move, right?
Uh huh.
GG, hitting G
GG.
twice,
Yeah.
will move it across the edge.
Oh, that is cool. That is rad. That's really cool.
Yeah. So at this point, what you can do is grab that and hit E and then extrude. And something I haven't shown you yet, and are these loop tools up here. Now, to get the loop tools available to you, they are built in to Blender. You just have to go to Preferences, go to Add-ons, type in Loop, and there's a Mesh Loop tools right there. Just make sure it's on. And then now this menu up here, remember that can be gone or turned on or shown or hidden with N. And then if you go to edit, you'll see the loop tools.
Oh, that's cool.
So in this case, I'm just going to go with flatten.
Nice.
And that will flatten that loop right there. And then one thing I really like to do is at this point, you can mess with the transition area. So I'll, with these, there's like a weld.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll usually do a bevel, maybe add some additional segments.
Fast and easy.
Yeah, can do that. See, this is pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So
kind of inflates it a little bit.
Yeah, so let's just leave it at that. So maybe it's a weird weld.
Yeah.
Where it actually like was a big, like a different kind of weld point. So we have this is completely flattened one way, and then this. You know what? This is actually a much better transition. So let's go with that.
Mike, I've got to hold on just 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sure. And for all those still here, what I'm gonna do while Gabe is doing that is let's smooth these normals out. So I'm going to go into the non-edit mode, right click, hit shade smooth, and the shading's really jacked up. So you need to go to the object property data, and then just hit auto smooth. And then this is 30 degrees. So you hit 45, and that probably won't change. But so now it's looking really good. And to look at it without the outline, you can just go to this little guy right here and hit wireframe. Looks like, let's try 30.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool. Let's see if I can't fix that. You know what? There probably is.
Did you break it while it was gone?
Nope. I think we have just an extra.
So I hate to break it to you, Mike, but you are not a Blender noob, so I don't know if we can do the show anymore.
Oh, no, there's still things. There's still lots of things that are going on that I don't know. I'm not sure what is happening here. Something with the normals is go to dissolve edges. Something with I'm not sure what's happening there. Go to shade smooth. Tried. Wonder if there's inferior. Just trying to resolve. Well, in any case, that's something that has to do with like the normals. Not sure what the deal is there.
Acting funny in there.
Smooth them out. What?
Some normals acting funny.
Yeah. I've tried this before. If you go to, so typically in in 3D Studio Max, you could do just a normal modifier, and then there is an edit normals. So okay, actually that's good. Actually, that's and then if you go to apply, and then we go to shade smooth. I wonder if it. Oh, I'm not sure that's what. I don't think I want to do that at all. Oh, okay. And then okay, so that actually kind of fixed it right there. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's actually undo that. Hmm. Interesting. I'll have to research that on my own. But for now, yeah, I'm not sure what this is actually meaning. Okay. That actually okay. Then let's okay. That actually I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so we have a funky looking thing with some normals, but
Yeah.
I'll have to look at some of the but I think it's just the weighting, and then we can just do
Yeah, it's like yeah, that happens sometimes. And sometimes it's when you end up adding the top or the bottom pieces, they will normalize.
oh, okay. That's looking a lot better now. So I smoothed up the normals, the auto smooth, and whatever else I did is kind of competing, but it actually looks much better now.
Yeah, that looks
Um,
awesome.
so that is how I actually, that is how I ended up definitely putting in um, these these areas. So we gone over the mirror modifier. Um, One of the cool things that we could do is actually go over the loop tools real quick too.
Yeah.
I I think that would be really good.
Yeah, why don't we check out the loop tools and then maybe we can set some assignments for each other this week that we can.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be cool even like each week as we set these little projects for each of us to work with and then we could each show like a little 15-minute segment of how we did one thing
yeah,
for the audience. I don't know, just spitballing some ideas here.
yeah. So I think that's a great idea. Um, Maybe for the next assignment, it's finish off the fire hydrant, and we can talk about that and then move on.
Yeah.
So let's add a circular. So so there are times when, like with certain bolts, like this one right here. Here's a it's five sided, but here's a five sided pentagon with a circular inset, and so we can get that pretty easily with the loop tools. So I go first with the five sides, and then I'm going to, because I scaled it, I'm just going to apply all. Um, and then I'm going to go into edit mode. Just going to hit 3. I'm going to take off this face. Actually, I'm going to delete this face. I'm actually going to delete this face. And then I'm going to add some more edges for a more circular inset. So um, let's just quickly add 4 to each side. So again, I'm doing Control R. I can do a mouse scroll to get the 4 I want, left click, right click, because I'm not going to move it at all. So Control R, 1, 2, 3, 4, left click, right click, Control R, 1, 2, 3, 4, left click, right click. One more time. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the entire edge loop. I'm going to hit E for extrude, right click, and then hit S to scale it. So let's go like that. And then I'm going to hit G. Let's move it up. And then now I'm going to transition into the circle. So I'm going to hit E again, right click, S for scale. But this time I'm going to go into my loop tools. I'm going to go into the circle, and I'm going to hit flatten, and I'm going to hit regular. Yep, so the regular will distribute the vertices. They will be distributed evenly, which is what I want.
That is so cool.
And I do that, and there we go. So now it's a, let's see, 4, 8, 12, so 24, 25, 27, 28.
Wow.
29.
That's
I think
really
it's
neat.
a 30-sided. Yeah. And so now what you can do is start to, do your, so let's just say I have this. I'm going to hit M is merge. I'm going to go at center. And then let's say that, there was a cool transition here because it's like a welded object. Control B. That's cool. Maybe a transition here. That's cool. And then if you were building this for, for smoothing, you can put in your support edges. When I originally built mine, I actually put my support edges in first, so that when I got to the circle, I didn't have any.
You didn't have to adjust those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's what I was
yeah,
wondering when you were doing it.
yeah. So, but same principle here. Shade smooth, auto smooth, cool. Let's turn off the wireframe so we can see it. Yeah, so now we have a 6-sided object bolt that goes into a circular object, which is really cool, and it's super quick and easy. And this wouldn't smooth very well right here. I mean, it's going to be kind of janky, but let's just to show off one more modifier. There's a shortcut for the subdivision modifiers, but let's do it the slow way first. Modifier generate multi-resolution. No. Subdivision service, and then levels in the viewport 2, levels at render 2. So this looks nice. I mean, it definitely looks nice, but it's not. It doesn't have crisp edges here, but that's because I didn't add them
Right at the beginning.
At the beginning. But a quick way to get this is to, within Blender, it has a built-in subdivision modifier that will that you can apply within just a second. So that's to get the subdivision modifier through a shortcut. It's either Control 1, which will do one subdivision within the viewport, or Control 2, which gives you 2. And that's one way to like quickly apply that subdivision modifier, knowing that you're going to be building it for smooth.
Right.
And that is how you use those loop tools. And there's tons. There's flatten, loft. I haven't touched all these yet, but definitely using the circle one has been really great.
Yeah, I need to jump into some of those this week as I go through my assignment and check some of those out. Maybe I can learn a trick or two so I can actually show something off next week. And then 3D Mentor is going to come show us as well. He's in the chat. He's telling us learning the nuts and bolts of Blender because he's really good at the dad puns.
That's awesome. So those tools that I showed you are the ones I mainly use to do this entire project.
So that is really cool. So what are our next steps? What are we going to tackle this week, Mike?
Okay, so you need to tackle getting a fire hydrant.
I need
I
to
think.
actually do something, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I need to
So
get off my butt.
that that would be good. I think what I'm gonna do is finish the fire hydrant, and then potentially, I think next week we can have like a reset. Like we'll both have finished hydrants. Um, there's still some additional um, tools I want to learn to do some lofted rope like things. Um, I'm going to do some text. I'm pretty sure Blender has a text tool, so I
Nice.
can use the text along with that shrink wrap
That's
to
what I was going to
really.
say. That
Yep,
projection shrink wrap would work
yep.
perfectly for
So
that.
I'm going to do that. I have to inset some additional things here. And then I think at that point, what we could do is, if we wanted to continue on the fire hydrants, we could do that, or we can do another modeling project, just just to get us. Maybe what we can do is um, build like a little scene with some models, and then we can go into like the low poly. We can go into unwrapping.
I like that.
Um,
I like that.
yeah, and then potentially. Uh, if we wanted to make this into a game art type channel with Blender, we can go into Substance Painter. I think you have that available to you if you wanted it from the school,
Yep.
so we can go into that. But I think for now, let's just continue to do some really fun modeling projects.
Sweet, man. I'm on it. So this week, yep, my assignment myself, I need to model a fire hydrant.
Perfect.
And I've modeled a lot of them. So that's why it's a good one for me to choose for Blender, because I already know the nuts and bolts of modeling a fire hydrant in Maya. Let's convert that in. But there's so many new tools you've shown me now that now I need to dive into some of those.
I love it.
All right, my friend. Well, I think Mike, I think we had 4 or 5 people here in and out watching this. So there's you can see the fervent, rabid demand for this.
It will only grow, but in any case, it's been a ton of fun. I love learning. I love learning Blender. I'm glad that we're going to be doing this on a regular basis, and I think we'll have this up on your YouTube channel
Yep.
to help grow the audience. And if some other professionals want to come out here and give us noobs some tips and tricks, that'd be awesome as well.
Yeah. This is an open call. Any of you watching who is experienced at Blender and wants to show off some of your models, uh, we'd love to have you on the show. The Checkpoint and Mike. We need to come up with a witty code name for you. What's
Um,
yours? Melting Face.
Oh yeah, so my handle on is melting face 3D. So come on the channel and melt my face off with some Blender tips and tricks.
That actually that would be fun. The little showcase day where we
Yeah,
have we. So a lot of times you can do that through the chat. Is they'll share links to their art station or something else, and then we can take a look at what they have and they can talk about it.
that'd be awesome. Yeah, and if they want to demo something, and then we can just grow the the Blender noob community.
Yeah, we're gonna noob it up. All right, thank you
Yep,
everybody for checking us out. Once again, this is Checkpoint and Melting Face.
awesome. Thanks everyone.